What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Solo Leveling Arise video. Alright guys, we're going to be updating the tier list. That's right. Already time to do that. It's that damn time. We had 7.5 hours of live streaming with AMAMIYA. God damn it, man. I'm going to get that name right one day. AMAMIYA, and we have a lot of discussions to go through here regarding the new tier list, because there have been some ups and downs. There's been a lot of buffs, and we have a godly new character who is going to be rising up the ranks as he should. So let's get into it. All right, first off, let's go back to the usual F. I'm not going to call it useless anymore because people seem to be very upset when I called it. He's still going to go there. Kim is still niche. Yes, he has a heavy break support. Fine. The question is, would you ever use it? All of you guys that were arguing about this last time, I was like, please, man, at the end of the day, are you actually going to use it? Yes, some of you guys use him in BOT, but that's a very, very small part of the game where he's going to be a niche character. So I'm going to call him niche. We don't call him Kim. We won't even give him his own little thing. We'll just call him niche, okay? Niche characters. So, and that's going to kind of go for Song as well, too. So we're going to throw him in there. You may as well just join your buddy. You two guys are a merry band of nonsense characters, so you guys can sit there together, okay? Can be a little bit useful. We're going to throw in a few other characters here. Boom Chic. Park, he's going to go right over here. Can be somewhat useful here and there. Joe's got a little bit of burning still. And I'm not talking about what's in his pants, so he definitely can go there. Still pretty pointless characters, to be quite honest with you guys. Song is going to go back to B. She's still alright. Honestly, the problem with Song is we have so many good water characters now. It's like you'll never really use her unless you're looking for a way to reduce health regeneration from the spider boss because you don't have Cha, and this is your only real option. At the end of the day, really, she doesn't have a good fit anywhere. Alright, so we're going to put her there. Let's go over to very good. We're going to put in our Kim Chul boy. We're going to put our Jinhoo boy. All the breakers, essentially, are up here. And they whoop ass. Not gonna lie, these guys all whoop pretty good ass. A lot of ass, as a matter of fact. And then we have two other people in here that I would honestly recommend putting in this section as well. And that's gonna be Ana Ruiz. She could technically go above all these guys because she scales off attack and she's got poison and she's got break. So I mean, you can kind of figure out where you want to place her, but she definitely is on the very good mark. I did forget to put Jo Hee under good as well too. These two. I'm not going to say what I want to say because I got to keep monetized. Yeah, these two girls can stay together. I mean, this is pretty much, I would say, the extent of their usage really comes down to what I mentioned for Song. And Jo Hee has a little bit more because she can play a decent role for MP recovery. But quite honestly, with POD and stuff where she was in the beginning of the game where she was fairly useful, now with POD is just a joke. So her usefulness dropped quite a bit. I have still to find a really good place to use her outside of what was POD now is never POD. I don't have a use for her. So, I mean, she may even have to drop here a little bit just to kind of, deal with that. Let's put Kang kind of over here now instead. We're here, right there. With his new SR weapon, he's actually gotten a lot better, but there's still no place for bleed. And it's becoming an issue. I just don't see a point in bleed if you can't use it on the bosses that matter. Right? And it's unfortunate because when bleed was actually a factor and the only boss that wasn't able to use it on was Inoue from POD, everyone else was fine. Everyone else was viable. So his stock skyrocketed, and especially SM Beck wasn't around at the time, right? But now it's kind of like, what's the point? If I can't use it on the bosses that matter, why am I bothering, right? So keep that in mind. It does kind of make it a little bit tougher. Okay, so now let's go over to the SSRs and talk a little bit about the OPs. Now, yeah, Dongsu's still going to sit there. Unfortunately, he's going to sit there. But his buddy who joined him every single damn time is no longer going to keep him company. He's going to sit somewhere else, all right? So we got a couple broken units now. Let's talk about them, all right? And I'm positive by the time they're done, our boy Woo Jin Chul is probably going to be godly. Honestly, I'm not joking. I'm going to make a video about this because I think it needs to be discussed, the good and the bad. The really good is the fact that they did update Jin Chul, and he's actually very, very good now. He's not godly, but I feel like they're going to eventually push him to that point. He just feels like the standard now of what every character should look like, okay? So we'll put him in broken for sure. SM Beck, honestly, here's the problem with SM Beck. I'm going to put him over here. And here's the reason why. And I feel bad doing this because he still is very, very strong in regards to his damage, and he now has a new form of bleed on bosses that don't use bleed. The problem is it scales off of his max HP. You got to build him one way or another. They really got to figure out what they want to do with him. So until they fix him, he is dropping from broken down to OP. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I can't remember the last time I've actually used him and was like, wow, I'm so happy I got him to A10. I don't know the last time. As a matter of fact, he's really good early game. Late game is where he suffers quite a bit. So if you guys want to argue that, by all means, go ahead. We can have a constructive criticism discussion regarding his placement. But I really want to drop him down to S because they need to really work on him. He needs a lot of work. He should be one of the strongest characters out of the hunters, and he's actually one of the weaker ones now because of a lot of the takeaways from bleed, the fact that he loses so much HP so quickly. Even his damage reduction is horrible. They need to give him a lifesteal and a little bit more attack power. I think they need to give him the whole Choi the Choi update, essentially, is what I call it. Okay? So yeah, that's my argument. Sorry, I know it was a long one, but I wanted to get my point across so people understood why and they're not crazy over it. All right, so let's go ahead and put Beck. Honestly, I still think Beck is a great breaker, so I'm going to keep putting him in S. I'm going to put him in broken still. I think he's still one of the best breakers in the game. With that being said, broken. Yeah, these two S, best breaker in the game, second best breaker in the game. Might go as far as saying third best breaker in the game, and just incredible support. Just incredible support. So Park, Heejin, and Nam are the only two SRs that are going to be this high up, unless they introduce new SRs in the game, which I don't think they will. These two are easily the best SRs you can have on your roster. By far. It's not even a question. All right, now let's go over to a couple other units here. I'm still going to put... So, listen, Choi got much better. I'm going to put him at the top of the list here because he's still broken, I think. I don't think he's still... They still got to give him a little bit more. I still tested him today. Listen, he's much better. Like, much better. The problem is you got to compare him with the other DPS, and when you compare it to the top DPS, he still kind of falls flat, right? Lim is also very good. Another amazing breaker. Quite honestly, the only dark breaker currently that's worthwhile having. And I can't take that away from him. So he's going to sit under broken for now. He does insane break damage and actually does incredibly good DPS as well, too, on top of that. So very good unit there. All right, Lee Bora. I can't justify putting her up in Godly. I just can't. Not yet. Still needs work. I think she's a fantastic support. I think she's got great DPS. She just doesn't sit on the top of the echelon with the rest of the godly units, right? And there are quite a few godly units here, guys, and I want people to understand this, okay? When I say godly units, they're the best of the best in their class, all right? So somebody told me to break this down by DPS, tank, utility. I'm like, why? If you see a utility in godly, you know they're the best of the best. Like that's where you're gonna rank them. If you see a DPS under a godly, you're gonna know they're the best of the best. So I'm going to go by order here, okay? And I truly do believe this. Now, this order is going to also take into account what's currently considered endgame. So we have to kind of understand that this tier list kind of does get influenced a little bit by that. Where the elements are the most important, where these units are going to be used the most, okay? So let's start off with, I would say, the bottom rung here out of all of them, and that's going to be Yusuyun, bottom rung. Okay? She's a godly DPS, but she's not the best DPS. She is a great support for fire units, but she's very niche in regards to that. But she's very useful in a lot of different content, and she does incredible damage, but just not godly damage. Like, she still belongs here, but I would just say the bottom rung of the belong part, okay? Next up, I would honestly, this is argumentative, and you can argue this one as much as you want. I think it's Emma next, another fire unit. The beauty of Emma is she's the best clearer in the game for any stages in BOT, but quite honestly, outside of that, you're not going to use her too much more outside of POD maybe and BOT. She's incredible though. She just does everything, but she's just not, I just wouldn't put her as past those stages. I wouldn't use her that much, right? Saw, on the other hand, I would use quite a bit. And Saw is probably one of the best WOBL units in the game, one of the best BOT units in the game, one of the best stage clears in the game, pretty much does it all, right? So I don't want to take away from that, but these two are very close. So you guys can you know, move that one around however you want to see. Next up, I'm going to put Min and Meilin together because these are the two best supports in the game. Both will be used in different circumstances, and both are still incredibly good. Okay, so even if you take away WOBL from the whole category, Min and Meilin are insanely good. So we're talking about godly right there. And again, guys, the reason why these units are all godly is because they really are. And this is the testament to the devs and the you know, and the staff of Netmarble who have created and given us the opportunity to use many good units. Remember, this is free to play and pay to win. It doesn't matter how you look at this. This applies to both parties, which is the beauty of this, because both parties take advantage of these units the exact same way, right? Just some have better advancement, more gear, etc. So, top 3. Now, this is where it's going to get kind of crazy for you, okay? And I'm going to be real here. Cha is number 3 now, okay? They added her new waltz, which is incredible. Doesn't need crit anymore, so she can waltz a lot. Her waltz also now does unrecoverable. So, I'm going to put her at number 3 for a second, but then I'm going to backtrack for 2 seconds here, and I'm going to explain why, okay? She's number 3 for now. AMAMIYA is actually going to be a step behind. And hear me out. Hear me out on this, okay? Hear me out. It's not because of her DPS. Her DPS is, in fact, much better than Cha's. And I'm being serious when I say much better. I really do mean that. Where she kind of falls flat a little bit, though, is the fact that Cha just has so much more to give. Cha has unrecoverable. Cha has crit and crit damage up the wazoo. So does AMAMIYA. So we won't include that. But let's talk about their actual support skill for Jinwoo. The branded skill on as a hunter and the branded skill as a support is just incredibly powerful. It's one that almost everybody uses or should use. Not to mention, the ult that Cha can do can one shot opponents. Yes, AMAMIYA's ult is incredible, but it also is very mana intensive and also does require a lot of skill and timing to use, while Cha's is just a nuke, right? So she doesn't do as much DPS as AMAMIYA, but she is more useful in a lot of different categories. So I'm going to give Cha that number 2 slot. Not for DPS, for utility. All right? And I think you can argue that as much as you want. The argument works both ways. Nonetheless, the queen of the crop, still Alicia. You just can't beat her. Listen, you can out DPS her for a couple seconds if you want, and it could be split seconds. But you take away everything else that she brings. The freeze, the range, the shields, the debuff removal, everything. This girl does it all. Not to mention she's got the best looking bikini out there. That's just this, cherry on top. Quite honestly though, WOBL is easier with her. Every format of WOBL. I used both of them at A10, both A10 weapons, both maxed out almost. Not even a question, Alicia made it 10 times easier. Now you take Alicia, put her in every single category that AMAMIYA is in, for every single mode, Alicia will come out on top. Alicia is still that freaking good. So there you guys have it. Those are the units. That's my ranking. I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think. This is Payne. Thank you for watching my tier list. It's way better than Zaf's. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.